Welcome to Wellness Spring, where we cut through the health confusion and insights from the world's leading experts. Today's guest is the inspiring Dr. Cindy Egolf, an extraordinary orchestra conductor, international project manager, and executive trainer. Dr. Egolf's unique leadership approach, the collaborative leader, managed like a maestro, blends creativity, communication, and collaboration to unite diverse talents and ideas, just like a symphony. Cindy grew up on a farm in Indiana, USA, and she fell in love with music at the age of 10, leading to a global career in conducting. After a life-changing injury, she transitioned to helping leaders harness the energy of collaboration and make magic happen. So, dear friends, tune in for this exciting conversation about her inspiring journey. Welcome, Cindy, to Wellness Spring. It's so lovely to have you on the show.
Hello, Beverley. It's great to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's over 3 years when I last saw you at one of my Be Here Now Ladies events in Monaco.
Right. So
Yeah.
please come and do that again.
Yes, exactly. Everybody's asking me, when am I going back to Monaco? Come back. But anyhow, please tell the listeners about your background, where you grew up, and how you got to become this amazing conductor, orchestra conductor.
Thank you. I grew up on a farm in Indiana in the United States. And I started piano lessons when I think I was 6 or something. Hated it because I was a busy girl. I needed to be outdoors playing with butterflies and chasing puppies. And so the timing wasn't right for me. And then when I was about 10, I started playing the trumpet, and then it caught on. And then I learned how to play the saxophone, then when I studied at university, I learned how to play all the different instruments in the orchestra. I studied voice to be able to work with opera singers, and studied orchestra conducting. And that's where I ended up as a career, with orchestral conducting.
Wow. And were either of your parents or anybody else musically inclined?
No, and they didn't encourage it at all. I think them saying, "Oh, give it up, stay on the farm and help." I think that sort of comments from them really pushed me to stick with it. Capricorn. so yeah, I just kept going and going and going. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
Well, and all these years I've known you in Monaco and France, I never knew you grew up on the farm. I knew you had a farm in Italy. Well, I just thought it was a plot of land where you had 5 or 6 dogs. I'm not sure how many you had. And because you were always inviting people to go over and doing little morning teas, afternoon teas. So yeah, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
you grew up.
I grew up on a farm, and yeah, it's interesting that I'm back on a farm again, and I call it the Harmony Farm. And my goal for this is to have people come. If you need a place to relax, you're a poet, a writer, a dancer, a singer, whatever, come and sit under these ancient olive trees and relax. Bring groups of people if you want to learn. We've had groups of people here studying the voice for public speakers. So that's my goal for this land, is to have people come and visit.
That's wonderful. And I know your olive oil that you make is absolutely delicious and totally organic.
Yes.
And so what is the most memorable moment that you had as an orchestra conductor? I'm sure you had several.
That's my response is several. The moment when the music becomes so important that you don't really exist anymore as a human being. that I just exist as a person who is promoting the music. And you kind of lose yourself in it. It's extreme concentration and organization, but these moments when you just lose, I lose Cindy and just become the music, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Like I like to paint and I get lost in the artwork.
Yeah,
You know, forget what time of day it is. I might make a cup of tea and it's still stone cold when I pick it up. And
exactly,
I've,
exactly.
yeah, and it's about being in that quantum field. And I think most artists, regardless of what you're doing, you know, you become one with the moment and
Yes,
you're in that quantum field,
yes,
the place that goes beyond time and space.
yes. And somehow you become a conduit for something even bigger than what you are anyway. And more imagination comes in. I can remember sitting many times, sitting down to study scores and looking up at the clock, and it's 5 hours later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I absolutely love the videos of you showing you conducting on your website because you can see you're totally immersed in that moment. You're so focused. It was such a pleasure
Thank,
to witness. Yeah.
thank
So,
you.
how did you were so passionate about the music? How did you transition, or can you tell us about who or what inspired you to transition from music to public speaking and executive training?
It's not a who, it's a what.
Aha.
Um, I had an accident.
Oh,
Yeah, I had an accident. I fell off a stage, and I really hurt myself. And the healing process didn't work well. So yeah, it was a terrible time. A couple of years in bed, and then in a wheelchair. And but all this time, my brain was still working with music. But it finally came, Beverly, to my attention that standing is still an issue. So
yeah.
to stand for a 2-hour concert or a 3-hour opera is not really today what I need to be doing. So I wanted to use my knowledge to help people in some way. And there are a lot of parallels with music and how music is done and what can be taught for humanity and how we get along and how we work together to create artistry, our own personal artistry. For me, is it's our skill set. We all have that, plus whatever part of our personality we put into it. So, in my opinion, we're all artists. How do we want to use it? Yeah. So
Yes,
that's the what that took me from one point A to point B.
I totally agree with you. We're all born with unique skills and talents, but some of us haven't discovered them yet because of pre-programming and, you know, carrying out our parents' wishes or our spouses and so forth. So it's wonderful that you managed to find your flow at such a young age. And can you tell us about your experiencing? Um, you talked about how there was a lot of synchronicities with music and business. So what influenced your approach to conflict resolution within teams?
Um, as a musician, we never use the word team. We use the
Oh,
word
okay.
use the word ensemble. There's some big differences. A team is a very separate group of people, and you belong to one. For example, if I'm on a sports team, I don't work for one team today and another team tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
Teams have coaches. So ensembles, you belong to a group of people, you have your place in the group, but you float to other groups. If I'm in an ensemble in an orchestra, I'm going to go play with another group. And then how do I bring my color into their color and blend it together? And also musicians in an ensemble, we don't have coaches, we coach ourselves. We take care of
Ah,
we prepare ourselves. We know what we're doing, we prepare ourselves. We don't need coaches. So we float back and forth, and we become a more global part of other groups of people. and it's exponential. So teams
Wow.
are you have a loyalty to one.
Yeah.
And in an ensemble, you have a loyalty to unified creativity wherever it takes you.
Wow. That's an interesting way of looking at it, and so true. I really resonate with that. And how does your concept of the collaborative leader and manager and manage like a maestro apply to leadership today?
As a maestro, as an orchestra conductor, leadership is a momentary invitation to collaborate. So as an orchestra conductor, I might give you a cue. It's your turn to participate. And the way I give you the cue, you can understand with whom you're participating. If you're a flute player and you have to play with a trombone, I'm going to give you a certain kind of cue to help you prepare yourself for that experience. But if
Mm.
you're a flute player playing with a violinist, I'm going to give you a different kind of invitation to participate. So you understand what part of your personality you bring out to color that experience. So leadership doesn't mean that I stand up and tell you what to do. No, it's an invitation to collaborate with different people. And it's
Wow.
momentary.
That's a beautiful explanation. And I've never thought about it in that way before as an invitation. It's so much more welcoming.
But see, this is what you did with your group of women in Monaco. It was a momentary invitation to collaborate. You brought us together, you had speakers, and we sat and we had a meal together, we were together. And it was you didn't stand up and tell us what to do and what to do and what to do. That was not your kind of leadership at all. It was, let's come together, let's discover something, and then let's discuss it. So that you're using the same philosophy, even if you
Ah,
might have thought of it that way.
I definitely hadn't thought about it that way, but thank you for planting that seed. That's lovely. And what do you believe is the biggest challenge leaders face today in fostering true collaboration?
If I look at a global scale, I would say that we, as leaders, we think we need to bridge gaps. And what is inherent in that philosophy is that we're separated.
Mm.
As a musician, music is based on sound, which is vibration, and two or more simultaneous vibrations is harmony. And harmony implies that we are already united. Albert Einstein said that everything in life is vibration. You're here, I'm here. You vibrate, I vibrate. It's simultaneous. We are already connected. And I think leaders would do well to understand that we are connected. Now, what do we want to do with our connection? And not
Uh-huh.
how is it that we have to unify people? We're already unified. And harmony is a law of physics. It's not just a pretty idea, let's get along. No, it's a law of physics. We are, Beverley, you and I are already together. What shall we do with it? Okay, let's do a podcast. Let's talk about that.
Wow. Yes, when you simplify it like that, the penny really drops. So yeah, and it's good to think of everybody as one and already unified. That's
We are,
great.
yeah. And the next step with unity is, what do we want to do with it? What is our perspective? If you and I have a perspective that's similar, let's do a podcast, then we move forward with that. Then how we grow that is through synchronicity. You're an entity, I'm an entity, and we unify our vibrations. Then we can say, okay, I agree on this. And then you and I have a more profound connection. And also with your podcast, you're dealing with resonance, which means you're putting it out there to the greater population so that more people can enjoy and enjoy and enjoy. their unity. So that's what
Fabulous.
I would say to leaders, that, it's, let's start with the understanding that we are already united. Now what?
That's good. And can you share a success story where your collaborative approach made a significant impact on a client?
Sure, I've been working with the Project Managers International in Europe, and working with them. And what's happening? They're going to have a congress next year, and it's they're going to call their congress "Orchestrating Unity." So they're catching on to the idea that, okay, let's start at the beginning where we're together. And it's I think it's such a helpful concept. It's a positive concept rather than we're separated. So we're working with that in the executive realm of training has proved to be very helpful. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how do you adapt your message for culturally diverse audiences? Because um, in your international speeches, because I know that you've spoken in many countries.
This is a great question. This is a great question. Um, there is always a point of agreement. There's always a point of agreement. You talk about diverse cultures. I'll talk about very briefly about the culture of my family. We have a big holiday in the United States called Thanksgiving. And we get together, we have feminists, we have fascists, we have liberal people, we have very conservative people in my family. I mean, it's a cultural collection. Let's put it that way.
Hmm.
The catch for me is to find something that we all agree on, and that is food. If we can start at a point where we agree on something, anything, it doesn't matter, then our body starts producing hormones of dopamine rather than cortisol. We relax, and we can have a little bit of a dialogue. Maybe we won't reach this level in one meeting, but we'll go from here to here. And we've begun a little bit of dialogue. We've become a little bit of understanding. Um, I was on a board of a global organization for intercultural organization and understanding. And they always talked about bridging the gap.
Yeah.
And I've come to the conclusion for myself, let's not bridge the gap. Let's start where we agree and take it from there.
Well, that's a very unique way of looking at it. And I think all families could benefit from finding their point. And I think everybody loves food, or if they don't love it, they hate it. So food is a very good starting point. What do you like? What you don't like? And I brought this and I've tried this recipe and so forth.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and then you can easily adapt that to the business and any sort of life, like you talked about sports teams and orchestras playing as a team, and any area of life or work, you could adapt that to finding the commonality.
Yes. Yes. I had an interview the other day with a wealth manager. I thought, oh my God, what do I know? I don't know anything about wealth management. But I did some research about her, and I found out before our conversation, I found out she loves horses. I grew up with horses. So we started with a
Ah,
30-second conversation about horses, and that put us on the same field with the same chemicals roaming around in our brain, and the conversation was fabulous. Whereas before I thought,
wow,
"Oh, this won't go anywhere." But we found something in common. We began from there.
that's brilliant. What else did you have on your farm besides horses?
Oh, we raised crops. We had cows and pigs and puppies and kittens. We had a pond to go fishing. Um, I was always, even from a young age, I was always on the horses. even if without a saddle or bridle or anything, just hop on and ride. And yeah,
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, because Brian and I, as you know, we're looking for land at the moment to build holistic retreats. And we were just shocked with the state of the land being so degraded. And that seems to be a global issue. When we traveled around the UK and France and Spain recently, it's really heartbreaking when you see all the ploughed fields and just a state of degradation. And yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts on that.
I live in a very unique place. You talk about my organic olive oil. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Everybody's is. People don't put chemicals on their trees. They don't put chemicals on the ground. We don't, it's just not, Italians just don't do it.
Mm.
So, and the ancient ones have taught the youth how to really respect the land, at least in this area, at least in this
Yeah.
area. And again, I think if you could find even just something in common with these people who are plowing the land, try to understand what they're doing, and maybe they can understand your thoughts as well. I think as much as people are abusing the land, people are also caring for the land. It depends on where you want to look and how you want to look at it, I think.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
it's true that there's a lot of problems. But then if you look at certain people like astrologers who are doing a lot of this holistic work, that they're really bringing together people who are doing micro gardens, people who are taking care of the water supply, people. So I think there might be something boiling up that's helpful as well.
Well, we can only keep our fingers crossed and our toes crossed and wish for the
Yes.
best. And,
Yes. Yes.
I think all change starts within. And if you, take care of yourself and you practice what you preach, and then others can lead by your example.
I think this is absolutely correct, my dear. You said it perfectly. I can't change the world. All I can do is change my little farm and do it the way I think is best. I can't
Yeah.
stop wars, but I can get together with you and smile.
Yes.
So
That's
I think
beautiful.
that's
And
important.
on that note, I usually say to my guests, if you had one thing you could do to change the world, what would it be?
I think the radical gesture of smiles.
Yeah.
When I moved here to this little tiny town, I decided that I would greet everyone with buongiorno and a smile. And you know what I get 100% of the time? Buongiorno and a smile. Always.
Oh,
Always.
that's beautiful. As you said, when you smile, all the dopamines and the happy hormones, the serotonins, they
Yeah.
they flood through as well. So that's just a wonderful thing to happen as well.
And a brief moment that happens in them.
Yes,
So,
yes, for sure. Because we mirror each other as well.
yes.
Um, so, what impact do you hope your work will have on future generations of leaders and change makers?
That's thank you for asking that question. I don't know. I don't know. I would like certainly to have a big impact. But like I said, it's back to the simplicity of one person at a time. And
Yeah.
hopefully then two people at a time, and then hopefully more people at a time. Um, I'm working on seminars right now for executives, also for local people. I'm working on transformational travel experiences, which is going to be a 3-day workshop here in this area in the springtime, um, for people to come and just change their routine for a few days and experiment with different kinds of attitudes and perspectives.
Oh,
So
that
I
would be wonderful.
yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
really great. Yeah. And we'll use the
I
land we'll use the land as a teaching tool.
oh, you know, I think in this crazy world that we're living in, with digital everything, it's really good for people to detox, unwind, and just go back to Mother Nature and just be.
Yeah.
And your events sound like a recipe for success, for people to chill out and just reconnect with their true authentic self. And Cindy, I know you also have an up and coming event called Harmony and Hope, a Journey to Peace in Nice, with your collaboration with Professor Carlos. Do you want to tell us a bit about that? Because you mentioned the word harmony, which triggered my thought or triggered my memory to ask about your event.
Yes, I'm working with Carlos from Chile. Um, my part of it is that I'm taking a look at, first of all, the connections that we talked about, the harmony that we talked about, and also looking at how we listen to each other and how we listen to ourselves, and the way we interact with other people's types of listening to create charisma. So that's another thing. And the third thing is what we talked about, the difference between ensemble and team. So this presentation on the 9th of November is for expats living on the Riviera. And often we form little teams. We have this group of people, we have this group of people, this group of people, and they don't interact a lot. So what I would like to do is explore how you can interact with the French culture, how you can interact with this group of people over here without losing who you are, but still being a part of a larger goal. So
Right.
Carlos Gonzalez Carrasco and I will be in Nice in November.
That is wonderful. And what is Professor Carlos's expertise?
This man does so many things that it's just amazing. He's been a professor at university in Mexico, another one in Africa, another one in the Netherlands. He's worked with large organizations. I had the story wrong. I thought he was working with a country in Africa to do their constitution. It's 5 countries in Africa. They're writing a collaborative constitution, and he's helping them do that. So this man has expertise in so many different levels, in so many different ways. And he'll be talking about hope in our presentation. So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I love the way you talked about different groups, because while I'm traveling and exploring with farmers, it's like each farmer has their own method or, their own way. And it doesn't matter whether you're using chemicals or not using chemicals, if you're agricultural or if you're growing crops or got animals or a diversity, they're all still farmers. And it's about coming together with one voice and not creating that separation.
Good for you. This is important work, Beverley. Thank you for taking this on. You're right. They're all
Um,
farmers, so they all have a love of the land somehow.
yeah,
Yeah. Keep up the good
yeah.
work,
Oh, thank you. And is there anything you would like to share with our listeners that we haven't just touched on?
Consider the power of unity and look for it. It's there.
Wow.
Decide what you want to do with it. Because all you have to do is show up. If everything is vibration, you sitting there, me sitting here, we vibrate. We vibrate the chair that we're sitting on. We vibrate the air. We vibrate the room. And when we get together, look what we do. It just expands. So consider the unity that we have. Smile when possible.
That is beautiful. I totally agree as well. Everything is energy,
Yeah.
and everything, a smile is contagious.
Yes.
When you smile, you don't realize the power, the effect, the rippling effect that it has Because someone could be in a bad mood and they see a beautiful smile and it might lift their mood, and then they're going to
That's
change
right.
their mood and affect the next person.
That's right. Or I might be in a bad mood, Beverly, and I smile and I can pick myself up.
Yes, that's true. Um, I'm trying to think of the lady's last name, Amy. She did a TED talk and she said, fake it till you make it. And she put a pencil in her mouth every day to force a smile. And before she knew it, she was smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fake it until you become it.
Yeah. Fake it until
Yeah.
it's real. Or if,
Yeah.
if I'm not feeling it, but I still smile at you and you smile back, look what you've already done for me. You're lifting me
Exactly.
up too. So
Yeah.
it's a little
Um,
investment in our future.
yeah. And I'm curious because you mentioned that you had a terrible accident and still now that you have pain and can't always stand for 2 hours or 3 hours, whether it's a concert or opera. What is your go-to for health physically and also in all areas like mentally, emotionally, socially?
I'm a warrior for my happiness. It doesn't come easy, but I keep at it. And like you said, I'm almost in constant pain. And also the pain of losing my passion, my career. That was a long haul to get through, Beverly. It was difficult.
Yeah.
I work every day at happiness because I think it's worth it.
Yes, that's
So I choose to
wonderful.
bring out that part of my personality. Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for giving up your precious time today. And you're such an inspiration. And I wish you very good success for your future endeavors.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Beverly. And you. Great success, my dear.